Morning, everybody, and welcome to Real Academy's Buyer Counseling and Showing Property. This is our first class of the new Agent Kickstart. For those of you that were here last week and got that cancellation right before, I apologize. At about 8:30 or so, my wife had a medical issue pop up, and I had to rush her to the emergency room, so we had to put the show on pause. So appreciate y'all coming back in if y'all were here last week. If not, welcome to class one. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So a little bit about me for anyone that is new and does not know me yet. My name is Johnathan Silva. I'm a licensed broker here in San Antonio, Texas. I've been selling real estate for about 10 years across Nebraska, Iowa, San Antonio, Austin areas, and everything in between. So been doing it for a little while. I got started right as I was getting out of the Air Force. I had about 2 weeks of unemployment between my full separation from the military and then starting in real estate. So not much gap time there, but I was getting into real estate in the fall in the Midwest when the winter was starting to set in. And if you're not familiar with the Midwest in winter, it gets really cold. There's a lot of snow and people don't like to look at houses during that time. So that was a fun time to start. Relocated my business in 2020, May of 2020, back to my hometown of San Antonio due to some family's medical issues, non-COVID related, but we still needed to be here to kind of help support them. And if you guys aren't familiar with what happened in May of 2020, that global pandemic kind of impacted things. So really what I'm trying to say is I love a challenge and really starting my business during challenging markets. So I am here today to help you guys figure out those foundational skills, understand what it is and what it takes to really get started in real estate, start to develop what those lead pillars are in your business and kind of where you want to focus your efforts, your marketing activities, and growing that business from the ground up, looking at it as a business and not so much as a hobby. So during the time, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to add to the discussion, please feel free to unmute and join in. If you are on the live stream on Workplace, please feel free to comment. We do monitor that as much as possible. And if we miss it during the class, we always go back and answer those questions after the fact. But yeah, we try to keep it open. I'd rather hear from y'all than hear me talk, but I'm happy to talk for the next 45 minutes to an hour. So quick announcement minute. This is an opportunity for you guys. If anybody on the call has any questions or maybe you guys have a challenge or a struggle that you are currently facing in your business that you're like, man, I really need to understand how to go through this or how to overcome it, please feel free to unmute your mic. Let's discuss that. If you can't talk because you're stuck in a cubicle at work, I see you down there. Feel free to put it in the chat and I can go ahead and answer that for you as well. Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to push forward. Here's what we're going to be covering today. Basically, we're going to be covering buyer consultations as well as getting out and starting to show those properties. So kind of two-folded on the class today. Class, first start, let's talk about how we're talking to clients, when we're talking to them, where we're talking to them, followed by setting up that showing appointment so we can get out and actually, do what we enjoy, looking at houses, checking out the architecture, and selling real estate. So first things first, we've got to have that initial conversation. Typically, this is going to be done over the phone, okay? A lot of initial conversations don't happen right off the bat, right? They're not coming into your office, especially if you're in our company, where most of us, don't have physical offices. Some of us do have private offices or maybe group offices that we've put together. But for the most part, those initial conversations are going to be happening either via phone call that they've got off an ad, DMs on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, maybe LinkedIn or even Snapchat, right? Or it's going to be a text. Hey, I got your number from so-and-so. Just wanted to shoot a quick text to see when we could talk. Great. It's going to happen over the phone. Now, when that happens, the first thing you're going to want to do is start to build that rapport with the lead as quickly as possible. What is something that connects you with that person, right? So in the call today, we've got Kelly from Atlanta, right? So if I'm on the phone with Kelly from Atlanta, I would immediately start talking to her about my experiences in Atlanta, when I visited Atlanta for work, when I would visit Atlanta for my friend's wedding, anything that I have familiarity with in Atlanta. That was one thing that I know about Kelly, right? And so I'm going to talk with her about Atlanta. I'm going to ask her what her favorite thing is about Atlanta. I'm going to ask her, does she have a favorite restaurant, favorite parks, favorite part of town? What brought her to Atlanta? Was she born and raised? Those sort of things, as well as my experiences in Atlanta and apparently staying at like the most dangerous part of Atlanta. I think y'all call it like the 5 points or the 5 ways or something like that. When I went down there for some work and I was walking around at about 10:30 at night, and some friends that I have that live in the area were like, why are you walking around that area at 10 o'clock at night? Don't you know that that's not a good part of town? I'm like, I don't know anything about Atlanta. It was my first time there. So we would connect, we would build some rapport, have some conversation. If possible, my kind of philosophy is I'm going to make them laugh or reminisce about something. Because if they can laugh, if they can open up in that aspect, their body language immediately drops, their walls start to kind of crumble down, and they're open to having more of a general conversation with you as opposed to a scripted or blocked out conversation. Okay. When you're trying to find the rapport to build, think of these: occupation, family, hobbies, and goals. Okay. If you can discuss occupation, family, goals, hobbies, chances are within those 4 key topics, there's going to be something that you can relate to, right? Whether it's sports, whether it's, bike riding or motorcycle riding, whether it's off-roading and rock climbing, right? Those are all hobbies. Great. Is there something in there that fits you and what you like to do? Maybe for me, most of my client base comes from military personnel. So they're going to talk to me about something that they have going on in the military. They're PCSing here to San Antonio. They're PCSing out of San Antonio. They're PCSing anywhere in the world. Great. I understand the PCS process. I've lived through it. I understand the home buying process during a PCS. I've lived through it. We're going to connect on that front. So find what connects you, and that's going to get that conversation started quickly. Also on that call, again, this is that same call or text or DM message, thread. Start pre-qualifying the client. Now, I'm not talking about what are your finances, how much do you get paid, what's your credit score. That's not our job. Unless you're a licensed lender, we're not getting into that. When I say pre-qualification, what I'm referring to from our side as real estate agents is, are you ready, willing, and able to buy a house? Okay. If you are not ready, willing, and able to buy a house, you're delayed, right? We're not going to not meet that person. Don't twist my words. We're still going to meet with them. We're still going to have conversations and put them in our pipeline. But we now understand we're probably not going to jump to looking at houses. We're going to set them up on a plan. Is it credit repair? Is it getting that pre-approval? Is it educating them on the processes? Are they relocating in and they're not quite ready to look at houses yet? Where are they at? That's what we need to do when it's coming to pre-qualification. Now, question for you. I covered quite a bit during the rapport building and the qualifications. How long do you think this initial conversation would typically last? Put it in the chat, unmute, give me your answer. How long do you think this initial conversation would last?
30 minutes to an hour.
30 minutes to an hour. Okay. Anyone else have anything? I will challenge that, and I'm going to challenge it in a simple way. The consultation side, which we'll talk about here in a second, is going to take 30 minutes to an hour. Absolutely. That initial conversation, what you're trying to accomplish in that initial piece is, I want to set this appointment. I want to get face-to-face, belly-to-belly, not literally, Tim, okay? Face-to-face, belly-to-belly, so that way I can meet them in person, as in person as possible, okay? Because over the phone, it's easy to talk. It's easy to have a conversation in most situations. But it's also easy to lie, right? Or withhold the full truth, okay? So what I want to do is I want to take it off the phone and I want to get it in person or even via Zoom, okay? So that initial conversation, 10, 15 minutes, tops. Have a conversation, build some rapport, get them comfortable with you, and then say, boom, you know what? I'd really love to go over your options. I'd love to go over your motivations. I'd love to go over the process with you in person. Is there a day this week that works best for you? And we kind of put that in their court, right? We put the ball in their court. So that way they can pick out a day. Now, based off of the day that they pick, we would then suggest some times that might work for us. But we want to get that appointment scheduled to meet with them face to face. Okay. Now, at the consultation, or slightly before, we're going to schedule it, and then we're going to go to the consultation. At that consultation, we will do 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour. But during that, right? So when we're having that conversation, we need to identify, okay, do we want our consultation to be in person or virtual? 2020, as terrible as 2020 to 2022 and slightly rolling into 23 and kind of trickling right now, was with the whole COVID pandemic and everything going on in the economy and in the world, it created a lot of flexibility, right? Like if anything good came out of what had happened, technology just freaking skyrocketed, right? I think we can all agree on that front. And so it allowed a lot of flexibility in regards to how we connect and how we meet with people. Now, for me personally, I would argue face-to-face, in person, sitting down at an office, at a coffee shop, at a bar, doesn't matter, is 1,000 times better than getting together on Zoom. Okay. If I could be in front of you guys at well, we got like 4 people on the call live, so, it'd be a coffee shop. But if I could be in front of you guys, I would much rather prefer that than being on Zoom, because you build the rapport and you build that relationship a lot faster than you do over Zoom. Okay. Now my kids are walking in, so they're probably going to scream in the background. They stayed the night at their grandparents' house, but ignore the screams if you hear the screams. They just really love to see me. Nobody's screaming. So when you recognize that and you identify, okay, do I want to do this in person or do I want to do this virtual? It's going to be based off of your schedule and the client's schedule. If you can get it in person, go for it. If you can't, get on Zoom as quickly as possible, because the second you connect in person, the more likely it is that that client is going to work with you as opposed to them going and finding somebody else. Okay. So when we are scheduling that appointment, I want you to provide times that work for you. Okay. If you say, hey, Tim, I'd love to sit down and meet with you in person to go over your motivations, the buying process, as well as my process, when would be a good time for you to meet? The second Tim says, oh, I'm free to meet at, Thursday at 10 a.m. I can't meet at Thursday at 10 a.m. because I'm here with you guys, right? So I'm going to have to tell Tim, hey, Tim, sorry, I've got an appointment at that time. Is there any other time that works for you? And guess what? Now in Tim's eyes, I'm too busy, right? Am I going to have time to actually help Tim find a house? Okay, he's going to be worried about that. As opposed to me saying, hey, Tim, I'd love to meet in person, go over your motivations, et cetera, et cetera. I've got some availability on Thursday afternoon and Friday morning. Which one would work best for you? Now I'm putting the ball in Tim's court, right? Now I'm telling Tim, hey, Tim, make a decision, Thursday afternoon or Friday morning. And if Tim says, oh, man, sorry, I've got plans Thursday afternoon and I work on Friday morning, now Tim is too busy for me, right? It's not a negative. I'm still going to find a time to work with Tim, but Tim's feeling bad because he's not available, right? So now I can say, hey, not a problem, totally get it. Let me give you these time slots, and boom, 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 I'm going to give him some more time slots and he'll pick a time, right? But now it's in their court. It's them saying that they're too busy. It's not you saying that you're too busy. Does that make sense? Hopefully, we're going to move forward. The longer y'all stay with me, the more comfortable you get with engaging. So we're going to keep it going. All right. At the meeting, so you've had that initial conversation, you started to build some rapport, you set that appointment to meet face to face if able. So now we're going to be at the meeting. And when we're at the meeting, we've got to identify several key factors during that conversation. Okay. We need to understand, have they thought about pricing? Do they know where they want to be? If you're working with a first-time home buyer, they may not know how much they can afford for a house, how much they want to spend on a house. What they might know is, how much do they currently spend on rent? If they are currently spending $2,000 a month on rent and they're comfortable with that, and they've got some extra money lying around, guess what? They might be comfortable with $2,500 a month. And if a buyer tells you, I'm comfortable with $2,500 a month, as a professional, we understand where the interest rates are. We understand where the price points in our community is. We can then piece together and say, okay, based off our average price point plus the interest rate, We're looking at $2,500 a month for their mortgage payment. That's going to include, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and MIP if they need it. We are probably most likely going to be looking at a $250,000 house, $225,000 house, right? For argument's sake. So when we're talking with them, we would say, okay, understanding that you want to stay within $2,500 per month, my recommendation is we're likely going to be looking at houses that are around 225 to 250. Okay. Now, from there, we're going to say, great, now let's identify location. How important is it to be close to work, hobbies, interest, a specific school district if they have kids, or the activities that their kids are into, right? We need to identify the location that works best for them. Everybody's familiar with the term steering and redlining, right? So we don't want to do any of that. We don't want to tell them, hey, Kelly, I think you'd fit in really well in this community, right? No, we don't want to do that. We're going to ask them specifically, where do you want to look? Okay. Now, understanding based off of their priority list, how important work, school, and activities are, we also want to think about, okay, what hobbies are they interested in? Because the one thing you'll learn about buyers is that buyers love to think that they know what they're looking for. Okay. Not always, right? Sometimes we're going to be looking over here on the northeast side, and all of a sudden we're buying a house on the far west side. Okay. It happens all the time. We need to understand, okay, what are they interested in based off levels of motivation? Where are they at? Okay, we're going to look at houses in this area. You all right? Sorry, thought I heard one of my kids choking. He's good. All right. So we're going to look at the houses in the areas that they want to be in, but we're going to also consider houses that fit everything that they're looking for minus location in other areas, just in case the house is more important than the location for them. Okay. Style, amenities, expectations, all of those things are going to be discussed during the meeting to make sure that you know exactly what that person is looking for. You know exactly what timeline they're looking for. You know exactly where they want to be looking, as well as they understand your expectations of them. Okay. When we're having these meetings, a lot of times what we run into is we want to know what the clients want because we want to be the perfect agent for the client. Okay. But don't discredit your need for expectations as well. Okay. If you stop working at a specific time of day, do not be shamed by that. Okay. I like to pick my kids up from school. So guess what? I don't take appointments between 3 o'clock and 4:30 because I like to pick my kids up from school when it's not spring break. I like to eat dinner with my family. So I will not take calls, text, emails, messages, showings, anything from about 6 o'clock to 7 because we typically eat dinner around those times. Okay. I don't like to show houses at night. So I don't show houses after 6 o'clock because I'm not going to go in the dark to go look at a house because that's pointless. Right. So I've set my parameters. My clients know my parameters. If they text me, call me, or email me and I'm available later in the evening, I'll reply. But I'm typically not looking at those things after 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because I'm not going to get anything done. Bankers aren't working, title's not working, right? So I'm not going to get anything done on those fronts. I'm going to check it first thing in the morning. I'm going to handle it first thing in the morning, and they understand that. So we've set those expectations. The last thing on here you want to look at is building this rapport. We started that rapport on that initial conversation, and guess what? That needs to continue through during the meeting. Okay. If I know that, Kelly, plays intramural volleyball and she had a game this weekend before our appointment and we're meeting, that next Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to ask her, hey, Kelly, how was the volleyball game this weekend? Did you guys win? Oh, we totally lost. Oh, bummer. I always lose. So that's okay. Right. We're going to keep building rapport. As much as possible, build that rapport. You're essentially establishing a friendship with this client before you're going out and looking at houses. Okay. Additionally, during those conversations, you need to understand their position on financing. Okay. Do they require that pre-approval or do they plan to pay with cash? Now, my rule of advice or my recommendation to you guys is don't ask one over the other. Okay. Don't ask them, hey, have you talked with the lender about getting financing? Because if they're paying cash, they might be slightly offended. If you ask them, do you plan on paying cash for this property? They may, laugh at you a little bit and be like, no, who's got $300,000 lying around? I'm going to need to get financing, right? So I learned this through my own activities when I asked somebody, they were planning to pay for cash and I didn't realize that. And most of my clients at that time were getting financing, which is, I think, typical. And I said, hey, just to kind of know where we're at in this process, have you talked with a lender regarding pre-approval and getting a mortgage? He was so offended by the fact that I did not assume he was paying cash that he was upset. He was literally upset. So now, as just a buffer, I just say, hey, look, how are we planning to purchase this property? Are you going to be paying cash or do we need to look at financing options? And I put both on the table. I start with cash because, hey, if you've got cash, excellent. But I start with cash, also ask about financing, and they will tell you, oh, I'm going to pay for cash. Great. We need proof of funds. Here's what it is. Here's how to get it. No, I'm going to have to get financing. Excellent. Have you started talking with the lender? Nope, I don't have anybody in mind. Not a problem. I've got great partners that we work with. Let's talk a little bit and see what might be the best fit for you, right? We're going to put them in touch with those partners. If they don't have somebody, okay, Kelly's a lender and Tim is buying a property, I'm going to put a group chat together and say, hey, Kelly, just wanted to introduce you to Tim. We just got done at a buyer consultation with him. He's planning to purchase a property here in the next, 60 to 90 days. We're thinking about this area. We're projecting probably about this price point in that area. Just wanted to get you guys connected so that way you could start the pre-approval process for Tim. Also on that same thread, hey, Tim, just wanted to introduce you to Kelly. She's a rock star real estate mortgage provider. She provides mortgages for several of my clients specializing in VA. And she's going to be able to help navigate you through that loan application process and get pre-approval for your loan. If you'll have any questions for me, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, feel free to take it offline so that way y'all can have private conversations regarding your finances. I'm connecting them together because I want Tim to know that Kelly's a trusted professional and I want Kelly to know that Tim is my client. So I'm going to tie them two together and I'm going to push them off. Go work privately. I don't need to see all the conversation, but I'm letting them know that I'm here in case they have any questions. Okay. It adds to that rapport. It builds that trust between Tim and Kelly without me vouching specifically and saying, Kelly is the best. She will never mess up. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? All right. We're going to get out of here early. All right. So now that we've had that consultation, okay, we've started to build rapport with the client. We understand their timeline. We understand their wants and needs of where they're wanting to buy, what they're wanting to buy, what their budget might be. Ideally, before we're going to start looking at houses, we're going to get that pre-approval or proof of funds from the lender or from the client before we go look at houses. Okay. Now, if you're getting a pre-approval, when you're getting that pre-approval, I recommend getting it directly from the lender. Okay. If a client sends me a pre-approval, I'll tell them thank you. Hey, Kelly, thanks for sending over that pre-approval. I'll put it in the file. But really what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that signature block that's on the pre-approval. I'm going to find the lender that did the pre-approval. I'm going to call that person and say, hey, Kim, just wanted to touch base. I got a pre-approval for Kelly who is looking to purchase a property. Looks like their pre-approval is up to $350,000. Does that sound right to you? Great. If Kim confirms it, outstanding. I'm good to go. If Kim's like, no, that should have said $250,000, not $350,000. Okay, please send me a copy of that updated pre-approval so that way I can add that one to my file. And then I'm going to go back to Kelly and call her out. Be like, hey, Kelly, I just talked to Kim, thanking her for the pre-approval. Unfortunately, it looks like you were actually approved for $250,000 and not $350,000. Were you aware of that? Right? I'm not going to say, Kelly, you're a liar, right? But I will call her out a little bit. I will question the authenticity of the one that she sent me. And I will casually and professionally indicate, hey, look, we can't look at $350,000 homes. We're going to stick with $250,000 for now. If you feel like this was an error on Kim's part, please connect with her and have Kim send me an updated pre-approval. So you want to get it directly from the horse's mouth. All right. So as we do that, and as we know that, okay, Kelly is approved for financing, she's approved for X amount, and now we can go look at houses, we know where Kelly wants to be, right? So we're going to narrow down that list. And by narrowing down that list, we're going to do a number of things. We can either do a circle on our MLS, most MLSs have it, create a circle to outline a radius, create a polygon figure like I have on the screen right now, where you're kind of just drawing lines and, fitting the gap of where they want to be. Or you're doing a specific neighborhood search. They're like, you know what? I only want to look in Chavano Park. I don't want to look anywhere else. Chavano's where I want to live. Let's do that. I'm only going to look in Chavano Park. Okay. So we narrow down our search as much as possible. Then from there, we need to educate our clients on what the search is showing us. Okay. Hey, look, Kelly, I know you want to buy a house below 350,000. Unfortunately, all the houses in Chavano Park right now are selling on average for a minimum of 365 to 400. So it might be tough to find that property that's fitting within that budget that you're looking for. Are you open to any other areas? Okay. If she's like, nope, I only want Chavano, great. We're going to go look for a fixer upper, a foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, estate sale type of property. Okay. Or it might be, hey, Kelly, just want to give you a heads up. We've got 13 houses available in Chavano Park right now that fit within your budget, the style and, the amenities in the area that you're looking for. However, average days on market right now is like 36 minutes. So I'm going to send you a list of properties. You let me know what's that you're interested in, and we need to go look at properties tonight. Does that work for you? And if Kelly says, no, I'm not free tonight. Okay, well, that's fine, but here's the risk. You might lose all of these properties. Okay, we need to educate them on what that process looks like. Additionally, when we narrow down that list, we're saving time and money. Because if I send Kelly a list of 36 houses and she's like, I want to go look at all of them, we're going to waste so much time, so much gas. 90% of those homes aren't going to fit what she's looking for. The other 5% of the 10 isn't going to fit, the style or the quality of home that she's looking for. And so we're going to be left with 5 anyways. So instead, I'm going to let her know and say, hey, look, Kelly, I get that you want to see all the options. Let's do this. Take a look at the list, and I want you to find the top 5 homes that you feel are most likely to fit what you're looking for, and let's start there. I'm not telling her we will not look at 36 homes. I'm not telling her that she is wasting time. I'm saying pick your top 5. Let's start there. Discuss what you like and didn't like about those properties. That way it can help us narrow down the list to ensure that we are finding exactly what you're looking for. Okay. Once that happens, once we have found a way to narrow down the list as much as possible, now we're going to plan the route. Okay. When you're looking at a map, it's kind of like when you're traveling to another state or pretty much anywhere, and you have to take multiple stops, right? If you're traveling from San Antonio to Florida, right, you're not going to go from San Antonio to Dallas, down to Houston, over to, Birmingham, Alabama, down to Mobile, Alabama, and then across to Jacksonville. It's just not going to happen, right? It wouldn't make sense. And so when you're showing houses, you want to think of that mythology as well. I don't want to go from the south side to the north side, to the east side, to the west side, to the central, to north side, back down to south side, right? Plan straight lines as straight as possible, okay? Now, you need to think about, based off of the time that y'all are going to go look at houses, your client schedule, as well as your schedule, where are we going to start? Are we starting where you are at? Or are we starting where the client's going to be at? Okay. Are we ending closer to your house, or are we ending closer to the client's current residence? Where are we starting and where are we finishing? From that point, create as straight of a line as possible. Obviously, there might be some curves that happen, but create as straight of a line as possible. Understand when you are creating this route, what is happening around the areas that you are looking. If you've got a client that's like, I want to look at everything from the west side to the east side and north, awesome. We have so much ground to cover in a lot of cities. But what's happening with traffic patterns during those times? We're going to be looking at houses from 5:30 to 7 o'clock, right? Just for conversation's sake. 5:30 to 7 o'clock. I've got 90 minutes to show houses to this client. Great. Here in San Antonio, from about 3:30 in the afternoon till about 7 is traffic on most of the highways, whether you're on 410, 1604, 151, 281, doesn't matter. There's traffic between 3:30 and 7 o'clock at night. So when we're looking at it, we need to recognize, okay, we've got 90 minutes. We're looking at 5 houses. Each house is going to take approximately 15 minutes to walk through. Okay. So automatically you're looking at about 30, an hour and 15 minutes. That's not leaving a lot of time. How much space is between each property? That's going to create a factor, right? So when we're looking at it, okay, we've got 5 properties that they want to see today. We've got an hour and a half. We need to compress as much as possible, right? Let's look in this area. And so you identify, okay, what schools are in the area, what traffic patterns are in the area, and is there any construction that I know about in these areas that are going to impact our travel plans? Who in here thought getting into real estate, you were going to have to become a logistics expert? Nobody? Me neither. Right? Like I thought I was going to show pretty houses, write contracts, and make a lot of money. But there's a lot that goes into this. Logistics is one step inside the showing houses process because we need to identify this route. Okay. If things need to be adjusted and say, hey, look, Kelly, I know that you really want to go look at these 5 houses, and 4 of them are on the east side and 1 of them is on the far west side. Due to our time allowances and due to traffic around this time, why don't we do this? Why don't we look at those 4 houses today? And then tomorrow, let's look at some properties on the west side as well. Does that work? And most of the time, Kelly's going to say, yeah, sure, that's fine. And guess what you did? You secured the appointment for today, and you simultaneously secured an appointment for tomorrow, which keeps them in play, which keeps them in front of you, which keeps building that rapport, building that relationship, which solidifies the client-agent relationship. So the likelihood of them using you significantly increases because you are continuously in front of them. Okay? So plan out accordingly. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on. Once we identify what properties we're going to be looking at, now we have to schedule these showings. Okay. Depending on your market, scheduling the showings can happen in a number of different ways. One is utilizing a system like Showing Time, which is a third-party platform that allows you to schedule the showing and it gets approved from either the agent or the seller. So that way, you know automatically, yes, I can go in. Yes, there's a door code. Yes, there's a gate code. Yes, there's an alarm. And you can provide feedback after your showing. Okay, so that's option 1. Option 2 is the agent likes to schedule those showings directly. So if the agent likes to schedule those showings directly, guess what? You're just going to call the agent, or you're going to send a text message to the agent and say, hey, Elise, this is Johnathan Silva with Real Broker. I've got a client interested in 123 Banana Street. Would it be okay if I showed them your home or your listing tomorrow between 1 and 2 p.m.? And Elise is going to go to her client and say, hey, is it okay if they show it? She's going to say yes. And then boom, we've got our showing confirmed. It's a little lengthier than showing time, but some agents like to have that control over the situation. Okay. The other way that I have seen it, and I've only seen it around Austin, which is really weird. Excuse me. But around Austin, at least, it was, and I'm seeing more and more showing times come through, thank God. But you would actually connect with the owner directly. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Owner, I see you're listing at 123 Banana Street. Is it okay if I show that? And then the owner would message you back directly. And it kind of, had that private conversation happening. I hated it. I didn't like it. I always included the listing agent on those threads because I don't want to contact the owner directly. I'm a very CYA type of person. So I'm going to go ahead and get those showings scheduled. Once you get the confirmation that that showing is confirmed, my recommendation, connect with the listing agent. Hey, Elise, just wanted to check in real quick. We're getting ready to go show that property here in about an hour, maybe the day before you message her. But hey, Elise, just wanted to check in. Is there anything important about the property that I should know about before I show it to my clients? Let her answer the question. If there's something specific that your client wants, needs, or is looking for, great, ask it. Hey, Elise, just wanted to check in. We're getting ready to go show the property at 123 Banana Street. My clients are really looking for a home that doesn't have more than 12 steps in it. Do you happen to know if your house has more than 12 steps? Chances are she's going to be like, I didn't count them. No. But she might say, oh, there's quite a few. And then you could say, we're not going to go show it. Right. But you're asking those pertinent questions to the listing agent because you're starting to try to build rapport with the agent as well. Okay. If I'm having a good conversation with Elise and I'm getting ready to show the property, and we're having a good dialogue, and I'm asking questions, she's providing answers, I'm sharing the client's interest, and she's excited about it, right? When we go to actually write that offer, the goal is I'm going to be positioned slightly above the competition that might also be writing an offer, because that agent, hey, Elise, is it okay if I show? Great, thanks. Hey, Elise, we're sending an offer. No conversation, no dialogue, nothing. Just, can I show it? Great, here's the offer, thank you. No rapport, no relationship, okay? Position yourself and your clients above the competition as much as possible, okay? But at the very least, even if you're not concerned about building the rapport with the other agent, you're making it easier for you. If you know that that property is not going to work out for your client, you can go back to your client and say, hey, Kelly, just wanted to let you know I talked with the other agent about the property at 123 Banana Street. Unfortunately, it looks like there's 47 steps to get upstairs in that house because it just kind of circles around. Is that something you still want to take a look at? Nope, can't do it. Okay, great. I'll cancel the showing. You just saved yourself time. You saved your client time. You saved yourself money. Okay, make it easy. After the showing, series of showings, one showing, doesn't matter. You should be following up. You should always be thinking about how you can follow up with your clients. Okay, because the more engagement you have with them, the more you solidify the relationship. Okay, y'all are going to get tired of hearing me say that, but it's true, and I want you thinking about it. After the showing, you should follow up with your client. Hey, Kelly, just wanted to follow up. We looked at about 5 properties today. Did any property stand out the most? Yes, I really liked this one. Great. What did you like most about it? What did you not like about it? Are you interested in writing an offer? Why do you not want to write an offer? Okay. Now, I say between you guys, I say, why do you not want to write an offer? But when you're talking to your clients, I recommend not using the word why, period. Okay. Change the word why with the word what. Why do you not want to write an offer? What prevents you from wanting to write an offer at this time? Okay. To me, why is more hostile than what? Why don't you want to write an offer? Like you're offended. Why don't you want to write an offer? What prevents you from wanting to write an offer at this time? Now I'm inquisitive, right? Now I'm curious. What is it? Because I want to help you find the right house. What's preventing you from writing that offer? Oh, the neighbor's yard was really trashy. They never mow it. Okay, not something I can fix. However, something we could possibly look past if no other house hits, okay? Next up, interest level. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this home? Great. You rated it a 10, but you don't want to write an offer? Not sure why? Okay, let's keep it going. Followed by, understand that you're not ready to write an offer just yet. Let's plan our next group of showings, okay? Are you available tomorrow between 5 and 6 p.m.? Great. Let's plan to see some homes between 5 and 6 p.m. I'm going to send you a new list of potential opportunities. Take a look. Again, give me 3 or 4 that we can go take a look at, and we will go take a look at those properties. We are setting the plan. We know that the appointment's going to happen. We are securing that spot in their life to go look at houses, okay? After you talk with your client, you get their feedback, you get their information. I want you to follow up with the listing agent. I want you to discuss your experience with that listing agent. Let me ask you this question for the group. Do you feel that your client's feedback about the property is considered confidential information and therefore should not be shared with the listing agent?
No.
Not confidential. So you can share that information.
In regards to the house, yes.
Okay.
Not their like personal situation.
Of course. Okay. Anybody else have opinions? Okay. So I think confidential information could go one of either way. Right. And these are all opinions, right? So you don't have to take what I say as gospel. My name's not, Abraham or anything. So you don't have to take what I say. But when we're thinking about confidential information, the one thing I want you to think about is what leverage are you giving away if you share your client's feedback with the listing agent? Okay. Tim shows a property. His clients say they love it. It's perfect. It has everything that they want. It's got, the bedrooms they want, the size that they want, the condition that they want, the location that they want. Everything about it is perfect. Now, that does not automatically mean that they're willing to pay whatever is being asked, right? But if Tim calls the listing agent and says, hey, Elise, just wanted to let you know, we just got done with 123 Banana Street. My clients absolutely loved it. It's completely perfect. Here's their feedback. It's got the rooms they want, the size they want, the condition they want, the location they want, the schools they want, etc. Everything about it fits everything that they are looking for. They're going to go have some dinner. We're going to go chat. And then I will, let you know what they decide if they want to put an offer together or not. If they come back to the table and they're like, oh, let's ask for $10,000 less than what they're asking, and they offer 10,000 less, there's not a lot of that leverage, right? Other than my client just doesn't want to pay full price for the house. Okay. So it impacts it that way. Again, not saying that they're going to pay full price, but it prevents a little bit of leverage there. Whereas if Tim kind of adjusts how he says the feedback, and it's no longer his client's feedback, but it's his professional feedback. Hey, Elise, just wanted to follow up. We just got done showing 123 Banana Street. I can't share with you my client's feedback just yet. However, I wanted to share with you my experience showing the property. I felt the property was very clean. It was staged nicely. The community was very nice. The property does fit what my clients are looking for, but I'm not sure if it's going to be the property for them at this time. I'm going to let them have dinner. I'm going to follow up with them and touch base. If I hear that they're interested in writing an offer, I will definitely let you know. Do you see how that's kind of different? You're telling them that the experience was good. You're telling them that the house fits, but you're not telling them that it's perfect, right? So think about it. Your business is your business, but I don't think legally that client feedback is confidential and should not be shared. I think it can be shared. I think of it as leverage opportunity. I want to maintain as much leverage for my client as possible. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Writing an offer and scheduling those future showings. Okay. If your client decides to write the offer, I want you to get as much information as possible. Okay. If you don't have it yet, I want you to open up your buyer contracts, okay, for your state or for your market. I want you to find every blank space that's on that contract, and I want you to transpose it over to a Word document or a Google Doc, okay? Those are the questions that you need to be asking your clients. If there is a blank, it needs to get filled in. I don't care if it's filled in with 0, an A, or an actual input. It needs to be filled in. Do not leave a blank space on the contract, you guys, okay? That opens it up for an agent who is not quite as ethical as NAR would like us to be, to fill something in after the fact or in between negotiations and for us to miss it, okay? So fill it in. But if there's a blank, it's a question, okay? That's your list of questions that you should be asking the client. What property are we writing an offer on? What's the price that you want to pay? Are you interested in getting any home inspections? How much do you plan to put for a down payment? When would you like your closing to be? Do you want a home warranty with the property that the seller pays for? Is there anything specific that you want to ask about inside the home to transfer with it? Couches, furniture, TV, etc. Right? All of these things are questions that should be asked to the client before writing the contract. If you get all of that up front, writing the offer is boom, quick and easy. Okay. So transpose it from the contract to a Google Doc or a Word doc so you know what questions to be asking. All right. Whether you're writing a contract or not, whether you feel confident that it's going to get accepted or not, I want you to schedule the next batch of showings. Okay. We're about to hit a very competitive market again. Okay. Houses are going to start flying off the shelf. Be ready to go look at other houses, to have backup offers in, to get ready to write another offer in case yours falls through. Whatever the case may be, schedule your next batch of showings. If that original contract gets accepted, outstanding. Cancel the showings. You've got the night off, right? If it doesn't get accepted, if you don't get an answer back, go look at the houses. Maybe they find something they like more. Maybe they don't. Doesn't matter. You're building the relationship with the client. Go show more houses, okay? Any questions on that information? We've got about 15 minutes left on the clock, so I'm open.
I have a question.
Go for it.
This is just your opinion. So in regards to showing potential clients' houses, is there a number of houses you would show before you have them sign agency, or do you have them sign agency right off the bat? Do you kind of fill them out? Just curious to know what your opinion is on that.
Such a sensitive question in today's economy, right? Because of everything going on with NAR. Primarily, I personally will show 1 or 2 max before they sign a buyer rep and before a pre-approval. Okay. Because again, we're building that relationship. We're trying to gain trust with that client. We want them to know who we are and how well we're going to work with them. Okay. With everything that's kind of coming down that pipe with the lawsuits that are happening, right? I think it's more imperative to sign the buyer's agency as early as possible, because that's your black and white, right? Like that's your compensation agreement. That is outlining your requirements and your expectations, as well as what you are expected to provide to them. It outlines those things. Not every client's going to be open to signing that on day one. If you want to make it your business practice to not show houses unless that is signed, go for it. I support it 1,000%, but understand some clients will walk away because they're not willing to sign a contract before they know how you're going to work for them. Okay. So I personally do 1 or 2 showings without a buyer rep. I know it's terrible. Michael, don't come at me, but Michael's our broker here in Texas. But I think it's important to get that signed as early as possible.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Does not have to be about showings or consultations. It could be anything that you're going through right now. Okay. Like and I, oh, got something in the chat right at the tip of the spear. Are you discussing the NAR case up front? No. I don't bring up the NAR case. I don't talk to them about open lawsuits against real estate agents or the real estate industry in general. I'm not opening up that can of worms. I'm not going to give them the inclination that there's, sharks in the water or anything like that. What I will discuss with them when I'm going over the buyer consultation or the buyer representation agreement is when we get to the compensation section, I have on there exactly what I expect to be paid. I let them know that most of the time we collect our compensation from the listing agent when we sell a property, and therefore they are not required to pay for our services. Okay, that's how I outline it to them. However, this is what I tell them. However, in any case where the listing is not offering a buyer agent commission, we would be seeking compensation from you directly. But keep in mind, if we ever get to a property that's not offering buyer agent compensation, I would let you know up front. So that way you can decide if you would like us to move forward for that specific property with representation, or if you'd like to move on it on your own. And I give them that option. So I'm not telling them that there's a lawsuit, but I am telling them that there is a possibility they may have to pay us directly for the commissions instead of us collecting it from the listing agent. You are welcome. Anything else? Going once, going twice. Don't hold back. All right. Quick little safety notes for those of you that do show properties to buyers or plan to show properties to buyers. I want you guys to be constantly on the lookout. Okay. Be observant, take precautions, and trust your instincts. Okay. Bad things happen to real estate agents. Okay. If you feel like they don't, I want you to go look in the news. I want you to type in Google and, I want you to type in real estate agent murdered, real estate agent killed, real estate agent abducted, real estate agent assaulted, right? Look up those things and you will see countless stories of these things happening. It happens. We are constantly meeting people that we don't know in locations that we are not familiar with at houses that are vacant. Okay, think about that for a second. We're meeting somebody we don't know in areas that we may not be familiar with at houses that are vacant. Everything that our mom said stay away from, we are going into, right? Except this time they're not offering us candy. So I need you to be observant and cautious when you are out showing properties, okay? Couple rules of thumb. Number 1, don't park in the driveway. Do not park in the driveway. Park in the street. Park in the street where you can get out, not directly behind somebody that's going to get you blocked in, okay? Unlock the door before the client gets there if you can, okay? If you need to open the lockbox while your client is there, stand sideways. Do not stand completely with your back towards the client, okay? Be able to see peripherally what's going on behind you or around you. If you're able to, somehow take a picture of your client's license plate, send it to a significant other, a friend, a colleague, somebody that knows kind of where you're at and what you're doing. And another recommendation is share your location with somebody. Okay. There is an app, I can't remember the name of it, so don't, look for it here, but there's an app that allows you to basically hold down your finger on a button. And if your finger comes off of that button, in 3 seconds, it alerts authorities and kind of shares your location with, your people of interest, people that you put on there. That's amazing if you have it, but it's also easy to get distracted and take your finger off the button and forget that you're having this app open. So be cautious with that. I just share my location. I let my wife know what I'm doing. Hey, I'm going to show houses. Here's the houses that I'm showing. Here's the client that I'm meeting. Here's their contact information, right? She's got access to all my stuff, so she can always log into my CRM if she wants to. But I let her know where I'm going, the times that I'm showing, and when I'm expected to be done. And then I always, check in when I'm done. Hey, finished up the showings. What's going on with you, right? So they know what's happening, right? People that work with me or my wife. You should do that, okay, as much as possible, because I want you guys to be safe, okay? If you are an advocate of firearms, have firearm safety before you carry, okay? Don't just carry because we can. Go get the training, get the certificate, be practical, practice often, okay? If you're not a fan of firearms and you're like, I don't want to have a gun, don't carry a gun, okay? Pepper spray, retractable batons, go, take Krav Maga or what have you. Do something to be as safe as possible, okay? Additionally, we've got some safety resources here on the screen. These are all links to videos or pamphlets that you can take a look at, whether it's from NAR, whether it's here within the company. You should be able to click those links. If not, somebody let me know on the recap, so that way you can we can share those in the class notes and you can have access to those. Any questions? Final questions? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being here. We will be here for the next 12 weeks, ideally consecutively. If there's an emergency that comes up, I apologize in advance. However, we plan to be here for the 12 weeks consecutively. So our next class will be next Thursday at 10 a.m. Central. We will be going over the second step of the showing houses, which is going to be on the listing agent side of presenting offers to our sellers. So hope you guys can make it for that. If y'all have any questions outside of class or y'all think of something after the fact, please feel free to reach out to me. This is my phone number here at the bottom of the screen. That is my cell. Call it, text it. I will answer or call you back. Otherwise, you can find me in Workplace or on social. Happy to connect with you guys, and I will see you next week.
Later.
Bye.